Housing predicted to rise by 5%. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee. Let's check out this article from news.com.au about a CBA prediction for house prices to rise by 5%. That housing crash just doesn't seem to be materializing. How many years are people going to have to wait? And what's the opportunity cost of that? It's just something to consider. Australian house prices are set to reach record heights this year, according to the biggest bank in the country. Australian house prices, yep. On Thursday, Belinda Moore, senior economist at the Commonwealth Bank of Australia, forecast the value of homes will jump by 5% over the next 12 months. Overall, we expect a lift in home prices of 5% in 2024. And this is when, housing is just going crazy all over the country. If we look at the prices pre-pandemic, even then, it wasn't affordable to the average Aussie. And it's just gotten worse, particularly here in Brisbane. It's gotten insane in Brisbane. So, but more modest price gains until an easing in interest rates from the RBA in late 24, a base case in September 24 for the first cut. Yes, and there's talks of interest rate cuts coming in 24. Now remember, there were meant to be no increases until 2024. We may be seeing the opposite here. We do expect considerable divergence between capital cities. Ms. Moore made the prediction off the back of data that shows a strong start to the property sector in 2024. Property data analysis firm CoreLogic found that for the month of January, nationally, house prices jumped by 0.4%. The CBA says that the small housing stock is pushing up rents and is thereby also pushing up property prices. Now, we have discussed this in the past in the channel. I call it the construction apocalypse. This is where we have lost a significant number of builders from the construction industry. I argue one of the factors that's never mentioned is that businesses were allowed to trade while insolvent for a period. And I would bet a carton that that's been a poison pill for some builders, setting the seed to the eventual demise of the firm. We made a loss on this job, we'll win it on the next one, she'll be right, keep going, and yeah. Add to that all of the other issues, an overheated construction market due to government intervention, shipping costs surging due to all of the global issues, lockdowns for government control of public access for health and safety, and then labour shortages. It's just been a nightmare. And this is going to impact our ability to meet the housing needs for our nation, because population growth is right back to normal. So, the second piece of good news for homeowners in as many days, really? I guess, yeah, we're all geniuses, aren't we, guys? There you go. How many of you have locked in your mortgage, and once it comes off, it'll probably be heading down? If it goes in September 24th, we see the first cut, it'll be coming down before I go back on the variable. But you can't... I understand why some people thought... You've got three people. You've got the ones like me who didn't trust the RBA or didn't think it would go any lower, so we locked in. You've got those that thought it was actually going negative because of what's happened in Europe and how the media was reporting on the RBA communicating with the banks to explore the opportunity to go negative. And then you've got people who thought rates wouldn't increase until 2024 because that's the headline the media kept repeating, and were hoping to make a dent in their mortgage significantly till then. Anyway, on Wednesday, news.com.au reported that it appears unlikely Australia's central bank will hike the interest rate at its first meeting of the year being held next week, as inflation has dropped to a manageable level. The inflation figure for the 3 months to December 31 came in at 4.1% compared to the RBA's forecast of 4.5 and market expectations of 4.3. This compares to inflation of 5.4% in the September quarter. Now, this doesn't mean prices are going down. This means the rate the prices are increasing is going down. So you're still copying a significant increase in inflation. Everything's getting more expensive. But don't worry, that $15 a week Albo's giving you, I'm sure that's going to help offset some of the new petrol cost you'll incur. But don't worry, it'll be right. As a result, economists think that homeowners won't be slammed with another rate rise just yet. Other economists disagree with Ms. Moore's prediction that the rate will start to be cut in September this year. Some economists suggest the first rate cut won't come until November, with others forecasting that mortgage-stressed homeowners may need to hold out until 2025 before relief is delivered. I mean, this just shows you it's economics. It is part art. They like to pretend they're a hard science. They're not a hard science. It's not like mathematics or physics. There's a whole psychological element at play in economics. That's frankly probably more important than many other things and all of the models they do. How the media report things. Meanwhile, Westpac has also thrown its weight behind a September rate cut. NAB thinks homeowners will have to wait until November for some relief, while ANZ is predicting an even longer wait until December 2024. Despite 5 interest rate hikes by the Reserve Bank in 23, and remember, they said they would not hike, or the media reported that the RBA said it would not hike until 2024. We had 5 in 23. House prices rose another 5.52% last year, further pushing the Australian dream out of reach of ordinary workers. I honestly don't think the interest rate hikes have as much of an impact on house prices as other factors. I mean, what was inflation over the year? How do you build houses? Material costs, labor costs, they all go up. So that's going to drive up house prices. Every new build is going to cost more, so then every established house will go up more. You've got legislation changes happening every year, driving up the costs of new build, and that factors through to housing. Miss Moore's latest prediction could spell disaster for new entrants into the property ladder, especially amid a shortage of housing and skyrocketing rents. At the same time, the country faces a rental crisis with record low capital city vacancy rates of around 1% and tenants copping rent increases as high as 50%. For those not already on the property ladder, the prospect of house prices rising steadily again for another year is one more obstacle in their attempt to become home owners. Written by Michelle Bowles and Frank Chung. There we go. By Alex Turner Cohen. Let's have a bit of a chat about this one, eh, guys? Now, I don't know how many people are out there that still expect property to come tumbling down. I see some of them on Twitter. You know, they're expecting a property collapse, housing to come down significantly, and they're making these arguments. They usually tell you to put everything in Bitcoin. But here's the thing, guys. Fundamentally, it's a supply and demand issue. Okay? And you've got to also realize you've got a government that will artificially stimulate demand for political purposes. And they'll try and stimulate, they'll pretty much the federal government will only be able to stimulate demand. That's all they can really stimulate. You look at the amount of public housing the different state governments built, it's not been that much. And the fact that if they are going there pushing public housing, that's taking workforce away from the private sector that also has to meet the demand, which the federal government may be stimulating with all their handouts and support. And then if they want to stimulate the economy with intention, they'll use the housing sector because it's the most effective way to get bang for their dollar. We've seen that. And sadly now, they overheated the market at the wrong time. We've seen the consequences of that with builders going bust left, right, and center. I'm barely keeping up with all the ones that people are emailing me. So you combine that with our population growth. You combine that with all of the issues between council, state, and federal government trying to work together to solve these issues with regards to just being able to build. And then the fact that the majority of people want to live in Brisbane, Sydney, or Melbourne. Sure, Australia's big and there's all this other land everywhere, but a lot of it's shit. Okay, you don't want to live in the middle of nowhere. Sure, some people may want to, But others want to be near the city. They want to be near services. They want to be near opportunities. They want to be near the beach. So that's all what you're competing with. So I wonder if this potential correction. You've got the talk of another interest rate cliff. I remember when we had. Well, I've realized now the media loves to jump on the negative for property, or jump on anything for property, but particularly the negative because it gets all the eyeballs. Because you have a growing disparity between those that are in the property market and those that are not. And the danger is here, you're going to have a generation of people that feel hopeless, that give up, that turn to more interventionist, leftist thinking ideologies, which are going to be very dangerous for the future of our country and will probably bite them in the ass more than they realize. You've got the Greens publicly calling for rent caps. These never work. They have a negative consequence with regards to providing cheap and affordable accommodation for people. But they're talking about it now in public like it's a legitimate idea. So, my argument would be, particularly for the conservative and more mature side of the political spectrum, need to emphasize private ownership of housing for people. They need to just push to make it happen. They need to force the local councils to open up land. They need to take away a lot of the power from the not in my backyard guys. They need to get more houses built. They need to get more people owning homes. That would be the best thing that you could do for Australia. The best thing you could do for future generations. It's going to be bloody hard. Anyway, there you go, guys. 5% increase. Cheers to all the property geniuses. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.